after the draft for Game 1. Now, when we start looking at the map pool, we don't know yet who's going to end up with the battleground choice, as we're just about to get started with the bans. But Calder, does anything stand out to you as what you would like to see for Fnatic?
I want to see Fnatic when it comes to certain maps, as for example, when in case we see Tomb, in case we see Infernal Shrines, I want them to again play around their AoE. And one of the heroes that I'm currently missing, if the draft allows it, aka if Genji and Maiev are not an issue, then go for Kalthas again. Try to have a lead stun that could be an ETC with a power slide, that could be an Uberak, and go for Kalthas in a Gravity Lapse combo. Last year at this time, that was the combo to be played, and Fnatic brought it back just in the league, so I want to see that play. And every time we see them with a mage that has CC as well, being it Gul'dan with his Horrify, or being it Kalthas with the Gravity Lapse, they just absolutely excel in putting the pressure on the opponent. So I really want to see that, and that's why those two maps are probably the two that I am most anticipating from the series.
Michael, now seeing the Braxis holdout ban, which is very consistent, that we see from HeroesHearth, Fnatic actually banning Tomb, which is a favorite, or has been a favorite for HeroesHearth. Do you feel like this is a must-win for HeroesHearth on Towers of Doom, one of their favorites to be successful in the series?
I mean, 100%. I said it before. I feel like winning this first match is really going to dictate the pace of the whole series.
Yes.
And I feel like for HeroesHearth, they need to win the first game to get that momentum, right? Because there's going to be a couple series, because in my eyes, the way that I feel like HeroesHearth is really going to win is they're going to outdraft, right? Outdraft and take them to maps that they're much more comfortable on, and you're not going to be able to do that every single game. So getting it out in the first game on a map that you're comfortable on is huge.
Let's get into it. Game 1. The draft starting on Towers of Doom between Fnatic and HeroesHearth Esports. Fnatic first banning Uther is different than a lot of the first bans that we've been seeing throughout this tournament.
Yeah, already targeting supports here, and I mean, also oftentimes is highlighted or was in the past as a soft ban to certain heroes. Let's say, for example, Genji. Oftentimes when you see something like Uther ban, the Genji Dragon Blade combo was really relevant. Anything where you have that panic button. It's also could be a bit of a problem with even Greymane when he goes in. He usually wants something to keep him safe, and Uther's Divine Shield excels at that. Rhaegar has been played a lot in this tournament to supplement him too with an Ancestral Healing. But yeah, it leaves a couple of very strong heroes open here. And the one thing that I find interesting about it is Fnatic really also likes to get rid of Abathur in these situations. So now with Maiev being banned out, Abathur would be available to them. So if you don't ban Abathur, you have a shot at one of the two heroes.
Yeah, I mean, what I was going to say, maybe this is a play for, because Uther is really good into Tracer, right? So with your train of thought, I feel like Abathur could be a good pick, but if they first pick Malf as well, if they do go for the 2-3 Tracer, that could be really solid. Okay, so they do first pick the Malfurion very quickly. That was 0.5 seconds, already locked in. APM of these gamers is superb. But I like the Uther ban if they do end up going for that Tracer and the 2-3, because Uther having the Divine Shield to counter the Pulse Bomb, as well as it's scary as a Tracer if you're trying to go in and dive a backliner if the Uther's just hugging him, right? Like literally just waiting. If you come in range, I'm going to stun you. And getting stunned on Tracer is a very scary situation. So I'm curious to see if HeroesHearth does take the Tracer away.
This is, by the way, the second time only that we see Fnatic with a Malfurion in the tournament, and they haven't played Tracer at all. So if they get their hands on Tracer, that would be fantastic for them, because them not playing Tracer is definitely not for a lack of good Tracer players, especially now with Sonic in the mix as well. But Mene can play the hero too. So
that's what I was going to ask. Yeah. Is Sonic like a known good Tracer? Because I thought
not to the extent of like Azalea before he joined and even Poik, but Mene can definitely jump on Tracer, no problem.
Okay.
Well, I'm also looking, if HeroesHearth wanted to take that away, they don't really have anyone that seems too confident playing that Tracer, not really showing anyone that has played it so far in the HGC. But these first two picks now, Blaze and Rhaegar, very, very stock standard in terms of Rhaegar's been the flavor of the day, I feel, but more so that Blaze, not giving away too much from that draft.
Well, I mean, and I like the... So the reason they pick Rhaegar is they're afraid of a healer choke, right? So Uther has been first bound out by Fnatic, as well as they picked up the Malfurion. So HeroesHearth is afraid that Fnatic may ban the Rhaegar in the second ban. That's why they end up taking the Rhaegar instead of something like a Genji or, the Tyrael. I am curious to see if Fnatic goes for that Tracer, or, I mean, Abathur Genji is still up, and that is such a strong duo.
Yeah, and it's not only the Abathur and Genji. Genji is one of the heroes that I'm still a bit torn, because he just doesn't have the success rate that you would expect from a hero on that level. But again, if you go Li Ming and now you drop Genji as well, you go for a full reset combo with that. And we have seen how Sonic, even though they lost the game, it was, by the way, the only Genji game they played, but Sonic played well in that game. So if you have on top of that then Li Ming played probably by Mainnet, who just follow up on the aggression and get those kills, the resets would be absolutely insane. And I think that's what Fnatic is doing here. And it's not the picks on the 2-3 I would have expected from them, but I still really like it because Mainnet now has a hero that he absolutely excels at, and also we have one of the best heroes by far for Breeze. Like, the way he can destroy an opponent's team with ETC is absolutely fantastic. So comfort picks all the way down here, CC setups for the power slide, into Malfurion, Roots, Li Ming combo behind it. I really like the way they're drafting this.
Well, and what I was going to say with the 2-3, okay, so this isn't necessarily tournament meta, right? Tournament meta has been so much about that Blaze, about that Tyrael. But if you look at their composition, this is a tried and true, you know, successful composition where basically you go for that CC chain with the Li Ming reset. This is, you know, in HGC and other international tournaments has proved that it is a successful strategy. So even though it might not be the current flavor, you know, it's a really good strat to fall back on.
I like what you mentioned about the support choke, especially knowing BBJ and his favored supports. Generally, he plays a lot of Uther and a lot of Rhaegar, and already having Malfurion gone and the Uther ban, still wanted to make sure to get Rhaegar, and Rhaegar and Blaze, in general, coming in today, has a very high win rate. Coming in today, actually undefeated, Rhaegar was, and then a lot of his games were with Blaze. Because of that high health pool, you get so much more out of the Ancestral Vandy.
That synergy that he brings, as you said, it's just so well done. And also, more that comfort pick that BBJ is on. We know that he loves that Rhaegar, and with that Uther taken away, it was almost like a no-brainer. So HeroesHearth, they're pretty, like, they're going back to comforts as well, same as Fnatic. Fnatic as well, one thing that I wanted to mention, they didn't opt for that Tracer, Mene favoring a mage perhaps instead, if it is going to be him to play it. But I also know that Sonic, he doesn't mind playing the Li Ming either. So it's also then, where does the priority of the draft go? Like you said, the Genji is still on the board.
The one thing that I find is really cool, and then we come back to what Michael talked about, is they're not necessarily drafting straight Western Clash meta. And even the ban against Zeratul, I mean, it's all about comforts at this point. They're looking at HeroesHearth, they know that McIntyre played a lot with Zeratul as well, and they're simply saying, what could threaten us? Yeah. What are we currently looking at where we feel this might be something that threatens us in any way? And they're saying, okay, let's remove the question marks here. Zeratul is a big one, so let's get rid of that and try to force a game that in an environment that we are very comfortable with, where we are on comfort heroes that we excel at, and that our opponent cannot throw too big of a curveball on us. And I feel this is going, even with the Genji pick and the Gul'dan pick for HeroesHearth, I think this is right down Fnatic's alley at this point. Right.
There has been no European Zeratul play. It has all been from North America. So it is very likely that Fnatic has not scrimmed much against the Zeratul, especially a Zeratul with an 80-second Void Prison instead of the longer one. As he had those changes come in, the more damage for his abilities too. So not wanting to deal with that, especially since HeroesHearth have shown it twice in 2 series on the Towers of Doom, makes a lot of sense to have that ban as we see the final 2 picks.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a solid ban for sure. And it looks like Fnatic is going to pick up the Greymon and Nubrak. That is a very heavy CC chain composition. I absolutely love this comp, right? It really just goes, it's very, you look at it, you know what their win condition is. Their win condition is, we're going to CC chain you, kill you with a Curse Bullet, and get that Li Ming reset, right? And I really like that composition. Just where your objective is clear, right? Yep. Basically taking away that, you know, high level of burden of execution of, okay, we have to do all these things to be able to win. You know, for them, they are really strong mechanical players. So basically they're giving themselves a comp that is all about mechanics. So just playing to their strengths. I love it from Fnatic.
And I mean, this sort of touches on what Snitch from Dignitas was saying. It's a very standard draft coming out from Fnatic, especially on Towers of Doom. But they're saying, mechanically speaking, if we are the better team, it doesn't matter if we go a standard draft. We will make those heroes shine.
So there's a couple of things about this. The funny thing, as you were talking about Zeratul, we actually had one Zeratul game in Europe, and that was Dignitas playing without a support. So
that was the Absa game, right?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I meant at this tournament. No, yeah, for sure.
I know what you mean, but like, so we had a couple of games where we also saw Zeratul in streams, but nowhere near North America, and I think that also caters towards the ban here. What I want to quickly come back to is the play on the side of Nubarak, because when you look at Fnatic, they have a couple of tanks where they are extremely strong with, and Nubarak is where they have in the European setup a 7-to-1 win ratio on a Nubarak. They're fantastic with that hero, and usually when they play a Nubarak, what they're trying to do is they set up blow-ups. So they try to go for a quick stun, they cocoon the healer, and then immediately you have Curse Bullet coming out, Li Ming with a combo, ETC has the next slide, and even if they just set up the target with cocoon itself, they're usually extremely good at finding these targets and roaming the map and getting those kills. So again, they're gonna love this draft, and if HeroesHearth can stop them while Fnatic plays this draft, then Fnatic has an extremely tough series on their hand.
Now, we all know Fnatic's capacity to blow people up before anyone can respond. It is, for a while, unrivaled. It was unrivaled. It's why they were the mid-season Brawl champions, is because they could run that and other strategies so incredibly well. But this is potentially a little bit harder for them, playing with a sub. It requires everyone to be on the same page, but they do have the capacity to do that. But HeroesHearth also have the capacity to deal with that, with things like Ancestral, with Bunker once they get to 10. It's just how much do they lose in the process of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this game is going to fall on, we've seen Crowan have amazing Gul'dan games where he's getting 3-man fears every single time. And I think fear, you know, talking about those tools, you have Bunker, you have Ancestral, you have Cleanse, and you have Fear. Those are your big 4, you know, counters to the one shot. So I think a lot of it is going to fall on Crowan's shoulders. Is he going to be able to hit that fear to help heal for his team?
What do you think then? Is he going to be able to do that?
Yeah, much love, I love you, Crowan, but I am going to give it to Fnatic. I feel like their comp is just so strong for the individual players, right? Saying what Calder, going with what Calder said, is it's comfort heroes for every single one of them, and I feel like they are the better mechanical team, so I think they are going to take it.
Vandy, who are you predicting to win this game?
I too am going to back Fnatic. Like I said, with that standard draft, I feel very at ease. I know they have the mechanical skill to make it shine. I hope that they do. And I mean, also that Anub'arak, they also picked that Li Ming, so they don't have a quick sort of cocoon buster on the side of HeroesHearth Esports. And that's why I'm also going to back Fnatic.
I mean, for the reasons mentioned, I believe that on top of everything that we said about the draft, Fnatic is also, from a mechanical point, even with Benny in the short call position and their sub, just a better and more experienced team. And as I said, if HeroesHearth takes them down with Fnatic playing this draft, then I have to really rethink a lot about the series. 10
comfort heroes, but I have to say that favors Fnatic too with the skill level, but I'm happy to be proven wrong, as I've been saying every time I vote for a European team, because I am an NA caster. Hashtag no bias. But as we look at the... No, I definitely voted for Fnatic there, but that's okay. You know what, I'll take it. I take my vote back. I'm gonna go for HeroesHearth instead.
Ooh.
There's a lot of HeroesHearth fans saying the same. It's still Fnatic favored, but we'll see if they can change some of those minds. Jayhow and Dreadnought, over to you for game 1.
Dreadnought, we've got a fair amount of fans coming out from North America. Seems to be a little bit closer gap. Is it Fnatic, the sub, that's coming in here that kind of has people second-guessing their decision?
It might be that. North America might just be waking up. I'm not quite sure what is influencing some of the votes there, but as North America wakes, Fnatic is going to reside in the blue. Smex is going to be on Malfuria and Mene on Li Ming. ETC played by Bad Benny. Sonic, the sub, in on Greymane. And Breeze on Anub'arak.
And on the right side, in red, will be HeroesHearth, and we will have Ishbu on Blaze, BBJ on Rhaegar, Arthalon on Genji, Crowan on Gul'dan, and McIntyre rocking that Clash stash on Dahaka.
Anything stand out here for you, Jayhow, when looking at the compositions? Any, you know, I mean, Mike Udall broke it down greatly when it comes to the clear mechanical win condition here for Fnatic. This is a composition they've ran for a very long while. But is there anything beyond that? The, you know, clear-cut one shot, here's my reset, and then all in?
I think for me, it really is going to be on McIntyre. The last few weeks that we saw him in HGC North America, he started to take on the Dahaka role a little bit better, and he came in a lot of good use of that global, a lot of good use of the flanks. And I think that it's going to be on him to get to that back line, to try and find that flank position to deal with the Malfurion, because you are going to have a lot of dive when it comes to Li Ming hitting the combos, following up on the CC stun train, you know, will be coming out between ETC and Anub'arak.
And that's something that's going to force a lot of, you know, time-sensitive decision-making and synergy from HeroesHearth, which feels like it has been a lot of this tournament comes down to how well these teams are able to kind of use the synergy with the teamwork with these hard cooldowns. Nice route after the impale there from Breeze onto Crowan. The auto attacks are going to be real. Nice juke, the Drain Hope to try and keep himself alive. It's enough damage. Another juke there onto the orb. And this is first blood from HeroesHearth onto Fnatic. They're not done. Reset there for Arthalon, 2. Looking for a third, but Smax, he's got the heals.
Dread, the way that BBJ positioned himself there, it forced Li Ming to blink past to try and get that. And the sidestep from Crowan, that was BBJ forcing that out. And then he just squatted on it because he had just used his heal right before that root. And he's like, I got you, but Crowan, please stay alive.
That was just ridiculous there. And you know, HeroesHearth, they've been getting a lot of hype from them from this tournament, and understandably so. They are really kind of making a name for themselves, not only at the Western Clash, but just for the growth and development through HGC that they have had. But that was just a whole nother level, because when we look at the strength that Fnatic has had through this tournament with Sonic here in the sub, it's just been their mechanics and their individual decision making and getting kind of ganks like that, relying on the team fight. So the fact that HeroesHearth early on isn't struggling, at least not yet there, as I say that, look at that punishment.
Wow. I mean, the CC train is the pain train there. You already got a little bit of taste of it. All it takes is one of those three, and then you've got two. And the coordination that we have there from Breeze and Bad Benny, no overlap of the stuns whatsoever. There was no way Genji was making it out of there.
Not going to be able to stop that there, as you see Breeze down below kind of flanking around this Impale. Will Krillin be the victim this time? Burrow Charge not going to connect. Impale, it will. Body block is there. Nice route, and that is now another kill here for Fnatic, very much showing what their composition was built to do. Ishbu does make the transition down, but not enough members to really bring any threat to the Sapper camp. You're going to see the posturing up here, but it can't help but feel like it might be a little bit too much damage out for Fnatic for HeroesHearth to be able to defend that out. I
mean, the thing is, with these cooldowns and the coordination that you know from this Fnatic draft is there's going to be a lot of it. It's going to be often. The one thing that is in your favor by drafting Rhaegar, you have that cleanse at level 7, but this pain train is in full effect early for Fnatic.
McIntyre is going to complete the channel over in the top right-hand section. There's nobody doing anything to the top left. Ishbu got the delay down below for a couple of seconds, but the channel is now going to be completed. So Fnatic's safe positioning one is the only one that remains, and generally speaking, because Fnatic got the neutral camp, this is advantageous for them. They are most likely to be able to secure this, but we'll find out. Mac opens with the drag, Arth in the channel.
Sonic gets the interrupt, diving onto Arthalon, but we're going to have ourselves a little bit of a skirmish here. I can't imagine that McIntyre is going to stay forever. Blaze is not here, and Dahaka instantly just brush stonkers over to the other side of the fight. Arthalon eats a little bit of damage and gets out of there, but that was a little bit tricky there for HeroesHearth to stay in there so long.
It should be noted that that is the second Burrow Charge out from Breeze that is surprisingly far back, assuming that the opponent's going to be responding to them, retreating and walking directly into it. I mean, he is amazing in a new Barak player, and this, again, is a composition they have run many times, but I can't help but feel like that has got to be something that maybe they're going to need to clean up. Otherwise, you'll have those kind of awkward moments where we see Crow and get those kind of sidesteps and turn around these skirmishes.
You think it might be like leading into kind of the old debate kind of section? It's like, look, I'm actually, oh no, I've missed you on the backside, but really you have that other stun, you have ETC, so it forces you maybe into another stun? I mean, it's a little bit tricky, but...
It is a bit of a kind of cut off the escape, right? It's just be like, well, you go this direction, here's a stun, you move into my team, there's going to be one. I think that could be it, but for instance, the gank up bottom, he was the one-man show. So
Yeah.
The fact that we've seen it back-to-back, I'm just saying, I'm a little bit hesitant here, but again, Breeze is very competent warrior and a new Barak player. I'm sure they're going to be able to figure it out.
You know, speaking of competent, I'm loving the new Wiz and Duelist. We haven't seen it at its max potential yet, but when you have this much frontline protection between the ETC and the Anubarak to be able to get in there, and there's not a whole lot that is really going to dive back towards Greymane, I think you can kind of thwart. It's going to be up to Gul'dan to kind of maybe hit these Horrifies post-10. There's a pre-cleanse onto the Burrow Charge, but the root and every other follow-up there, Dreadnought.
Yeah, cleanse or not, it's not going to be able to keep you alive, and neither is the armor there for Ishbu. Using the passive, the body blocks out for Fnatic. Another kill here. So outside of the brilliant transition and counter out of that juke up on bottom, Fnatic has been successful in almost every gank that they have attempted, and that is something HeroesHearth has to find a way to get that adjustment. Yeah, that opening started so great, but it stopped pretty quickly.
Is there going to be an answer for this? Because honestly, the more I see this, the more terrified that I am. The double charge, the root, everything, and then the follow-up of a Greymane Li Ming is insane. And as these heroes continue to level up, we have Calamity now. We went Power Hunger at Li Ming because she's going to be safe on the backside. Grab yourself a globe and just lead directly into a combo. That is a terrifying prospect for HeroesHearth.
I'm trying to look at it as well. Where is that kind of breaking point if that continues to happen through this game? And I do agree with you that it's going to be very difficult. A lot of pressure will be there on to BBJ. And, you know, they've both Ishbu and BBJ for this being, you know, one of their first lands, or their first land for competitive Heroes of the Storm. They are performing very well, but this is one of those moments that now as we make it farther through the tournament, you start going, is Fnatic and just the dominance that they have a little bit too much to, you know, overcome with those small, late decision-makings here and there.
One thing that kind of stands out to me is that, you know, a lot of times, and this is something I kind of touched on earlier, Ishbu just barely dashes out of there. He gets the bunker down as well, and the bunker is kind of what I want to talk about, is the fact that we have Cocoon on the other side, and traditionally you use that on the support to deny any type of healing, but bunker is almost sometimes better than the Ancestor. It's like, oh, somebody's in trouble, what if they just hop in the bunker? And it's kind of like, depending on the target, I feel like you have two great Cocoon targets and you punish them no matter what.
I very much agree with you here. Fnatic may be looking to punish over this invade over the camp, but they play a little bit safer here. As the heroics picked up, I expect HeroesHearth to feel more comfortable being aggressive themselves into the team fights if they want to move up, but it seems like they're going to play it safe for now. Stage dive was the heroic choice there for Fnatic. And so we have the double global up on the top, 24 seconds out, and we're going to have the bottom 2 altars to spawn. I think the biggest thing when looking at this is going to be how effective is it going to be dodging the cocoon. You brought up the bunker and the impact that that's going to be having. I can't help but feel like BBJ and manipulating vision and abusing his level 1 talent to make sure he doesn't give up that free cocoon is going to be, I mean, absolutely crucial here over this skirmish.
We'll see how it plays out. You can imagine that both teams, they might try and poke. You have Ishbu on Blaze, which has superior poke for a tank. They're going to get the channel. We see the free channel, however, for Arthur.
And see that situation how BBJ is envisioned this entire time? That's the kind of stuff that will get heavily punished by Breeze in the later stages. Stage dive goes in on to Crow, and nice isolation from McIntyre stops the power slide, but now that the silence has stopped, no aggression as the bunker is used to buy a bit of time. Arth taps, and he's coming back in.
He's coming back in. They got the cocoon onto Crow, and who's instantly going to get blown up. The Ancestral not in time, and now they're getting the resets. Mene and team going off here. That is 3 members down from HeroesHearth, and they are not done here, Dreadnought. They got their eyes on Ishbu.
Ishbu's only going to be able to buy a bit more time there. A 4-for-0 trade for Fnatic immediately just really opening up that fight. Getting reset after reset there for Mene. Prepped very well done by Sonic, even almost getting the kill onto Arthelon as he ended up getting the back. Talking about a kill on Arthelon here. Bad Benny on the ETC. Putting a little bit of threat out, but this is now suddenly a very scary game. Not only because of the 13 talent here and the advantage to Structures game, but Fnatic's just dominating the fight. They're showing that teamfight prowess I alluded to before.
Every part about that was extreme follow-up. What we talked about at level 7, level 8, what we'd already seen so far was the combo, is that it's nice that you can try and avoid one. I mean, BBJ did everything to cleanse and Ancestral. Literally snap impact. But the amount of follow-up, no hesitation, that's the timing that kind of separates the top-tier teams, is that there's no hesitation, there's no overlap in these, and they are confirming the kills, 8 kills to 2 so far.
And we already had seen in a series earlier with BBJ, when they had a very linear win condition on Battlefield of Eternity, I don't remember who they were playing, I think it was the first series from them, but he had a moment with the cocoon of identifying when do you go for like the, trying to pre-cleanse yourself, trying to Divine Shield yourself to help enable the one fight that you need to be able to win it, and we did not see the adjustment within that game, but I can't help but feel like I would like to see that here from him. And that can be done not only through vision, like I was talking about before, but also with his Ancestral timings. He loves to rely on his 13 talent here to make sure that he gets the maximum value out of that. But we're talking about Crowan on the School Den. His health pool is far too low. He's already dropped 3 times. I think it might have to be like 70% HP. You just go for the Ancestral and just pray to the heavens that damage comes out for Fnatic.
That's pretty much how it's going to be. And you talk about 13 talents here. We got a bunch of sappers coming in, so this might be hesitation, but acid-drenched mandibles for a Nubarak. Normally you're like, all right, I'm gonna get 1 auto attack in here, follow up some CC. But the amount of CC that they have, you're talking about double auto attacks, potentially triple auto attacks coming in from a Nubarak. That primary target, as you just alluded to, is now even under more pressure. It could be even more damning for him to be in that CC train. So I think the Ancestral is definitely going to have to be timely. The Earth and Shield obviously going to try and help just a little bit.
Arthelon and the Genji showing on bottom, so Fnatic know they have a huge man advantage here, and by no means is this going to change anytime soon. The delay attempt coming out from HeroesHearth. Interesting choice not sending McIntyre there. I can't remember if he used the brush dock, but either way, not going to get an advantage out of the global. They need to force this before the 16 threshold, but I don't think that there's any world where Fnatic is going to let that go that long.
Yeah, Arthur on the backside, they're trying to get the flank there. You can see Smexy's like, look, I'm going to go ahead and dip on out of here. He was already mounted, pre-mounted. He's just there in case the support is needed. Fnatic looked for that opportunity, unable to find it. They're more than okay with giving this up as they've got themselves a 28-19 lead here at the 11-minute mark.
But Arthelon getting a little bit aggressive for a moment. Converted, Fnatic taking this rotation down the bottom. I like the fact that they did end up, accepting, kind of cutting their losses, not willing to take that rotation into stalling out into the 16, because that is very high risk and probably unrealistic to have. But with that, I can't help but feel like if they're going to cut the losses a couple seconds late, that bell tower I feel like maybe could have been converted a little bit faster, get a little bit of free damage. But in the end, they still have a pretty significant experience lead, and it's something I expect them to still look to punish that over HeroesHearth.
Yeah, and it's actually a little bit surprising to me that HeroesHearth has managed to at least keep up somewhat in the experience department. A lot of that is the Dahaka play, having that global, making sure not to miss out on too many waves. And so I think that this probably could be worse if you're a HeroesHearth fan. They are down 9 core more health, and it has been seemingly dominant by Fnatic outside of the first minute of the game. And it just seems like somehow they're still in this. And that bottom lane, though, where that bell tower is starting to fall again, is always kind of that, this could be a worst case scenario. But we're looking at triple altar phase coming up in the next one, and we'll see if that does have the impact.
If there's a situation to where the triple altar phase is going to give an advantage over the HeroesHearth, I would argue it's out of the Dahaka. Just the brush stock versus the trade-off of the stage dive, it can be a little bit easier to bait one than the other, more likely to gain the effective value. But we've had 2 cases where HeroesHearth have the opportunity to abuse that global, and it feels like they've been unable to do so. And I feel like part of that is due to the pressure of this type of situation against a team like Fnatic, because more often than not, especially within HGC North America, they were very comfortable, you know, Mac onto the side lanes and getting the experience advantage through that, but they're sticking far closer together here, and so I'm a little bit concerned. Posturing both on the top half for HeroesHearth, free channel for Greymane on bottom.
They're about to pinch onto Ishbu here. He's got bunker, but it's a scary moment. You know, we see the trade out, and again, this is on the side of Fnatic, on the neutral side of them. They also have 5 versus 3 shots.
Arthur,
he's just not coming up.
He showed on bottom for probably about 5-6 seconds ago. He now showed on mid. So Fnatic still knowing the posturing that they have an advantage for a temporary, or small time frame, excuse me. Here goes the channel attempt again for Mene.
I don't think that's where he meant to put the oil. That's unfortunate. That actually forced Arthlon to go in. Arthlon just barely gets out of there, gets the cleanse, and now you can see Ishbu holding on that front line. He's trying to hold. He has that spell armor, but the isolation coming in from Dahaka.
Fnatic has to be careful not to clump up, though, after this bunker. Crone is looking for that Horrify from the Shrub, throwing out that Fell Flame whenever he can. It's going to reveal him. And then now after the cooldown trade, you can't help but feel like Fnatic feeling confident. Going to get more aggressive there. They still have the Twilight Dream. There's the Horrify.
The Horrify just not on point, and all of a sudden we've got the stage dive. There's the Ancestral. It was early and predicted, but now we've got the stun train coming in, as that's going to be Crowan going down. BBJ second to follow.
I asked if we were going to see Breeze adjust that burrow charge, and just when he needed it, hitting the max range, locking down 2. Bunker's going to be used here for Ishbu, buying a bit of time, but it is inevitable that we see 5 shots from that altar from Spexy to the core of HeroesHearth, setting it to 9. Now 4 more here with the boss. It will remain at 5. Fnatic is very, very close to locking in this very first game against HeroesHearth. And at this point, with how dominant that fight was, 10-2 in kills, I'm struggling to look at what HeroesHearth can do to make this a different outcome.
It's seemingly, it's kind of got that, all right, you know, this, you never want to call it over on Towers of Doom, but the way that Fnatic has dominated so far, 10 kills to 2, you talk about that max range burrow charge, and it seems like HeroesHearth just doesn't have the answer. Just a little bit off on that Horrify right before that, but it's tough.
I think one of the coolest parts about that burrow charge was he set it behind on the escape. When I was criticizing it twice in a row, and then he straight up does it again, and it has absolute value. Arth over the wall, possibly wanting to get the initiation in. No X strike used quite yet. Brush stock from McIntyre. Drag not going to hit with the brush stock away. Mene able to survive for now. BBJ trying to go into Ghost Wolf form to bite it out, but nice impale is going to deter that.
Oh, Mene. Dude, my favorite part watching that whole thing unfold was Breeze dipped on out of there, and Mene's like, look, I know I'm in trouble. What if I just drop this wave of force, give myself a little bit of an angle? But it wasn't just that. It's just like, you know what? I'm also going to get some damage in too. Deal with this, BBJ. And then he's like, you know what? You're still not going to get me. Here's some for you, Arthon. You want it? Come get it. Like, he literally is fearless in there.
Come fight me, is what Fnatic seem to be saying here. Wubby, or excuse me, not Wubby, no longer a part of the roster here. Bad Benny there in the ETC, doing his best to help further the race here towards the 20 talent here. 9 seconds out. I think it's realistic for HeroesHearth to be able to force before this 20 window hits, but I mean, it's got to be absolutely desperate here. Posturing very, very aggressive. I'd like to see Ishbu try and anchor very, very aggressively. Crone get the start on the channel. BBJ is going to be the man kicking it off.
Dread, call me crazy here, but I almost feel like this is a situation where you give it up. Yes, you go down to 1, but you're taking a fight right around 20. If they get 20 and they take this team fight, they can get the bell tower and end the game. It's kind of like a very risky situation for HeroesHearth here, but they're looking for the fight.
But look at bottom wave. They see the commitment there from Sonic to make sure they get that. There goes the Horrify before the 20.
There we go.
Bad Betty gets so much pressure. Burrow charge comes in. Impale to follow it up, and the 2 tanks lock it down. 2 kills already for Fnatic. They're getting the recess. Extra goes in, and they actually kill it, but a death box comes out from Bad Benny, and 4 for 1. Fnatic end this game.
Look at the smile on back. How could you not smile? There's the 20 tier, 20 hits. That's going to be the bell tower claimed. They're going to get the channel, and Fnatic ends it just like that. That was a risky situation. HeroesHearth are like, you know what? Let's go for it. I think they didn't have much choice. They realized their backs were against the wall. They went for it, weren't able to get it, but we in this 15 kills to 3, and Fnatic just blew that game wide open.
And that is one of my favorite, I'm going to say, attributes or features of HeroesHearth, is that they are very comfortable taking the very necessary, very risky, but the best fight possible for them. Even if the odds look against them, they're willing to take that. You saw the Horrify right before the 20 hits. Can we get this ETC kill? The answer was yes, but with the 20, that death box is going to be a bit of a struggle. I'm not taking anything away there from Fnatic, but that is one thing that we rarely seem to see, especially at the middle or, you know, lower ends of North America, or even sometimes at the top. And that is something I adore about their play.
Boy, I tell you, when you get back into the HGC North America, you're going to love LFM, but turning